Let's take a deeper look tonight at the current state of this war in Ukraine. Joining me again is retired Lieutenant Colonel Daniel Davis, a combat Army veteran, now senior fellow at Defense Priorities. Colonel, the U.S. is about to shell out $40 billion more in aid to Ukraine. What kind of an impact will that have?
Well, I mean, it's going to have a big impact, certainly on our bottom line and the amount of money that we keep spending on these things. It's $53 billion now so far this year, once all the other aid has been counted up. But the real question is, what's it going to have impact on the ground? And I think that you can see it's going to have a negligible impact.
It's hard to get a true lay of the land because you kind of get these piecemeal stories from different cities right now, and some of that's unavoidable. But I know you've been in combat. You were part of the largest tank battle, I believe, in '91 in Desert Storm. So at this point, much of the world is pulling for Ukraine, and we don't want to diminish that. But while Ukraine has scored some successes in the East, you've been pointing out that Russia has also taken more land, and people don't realize that.
Right. Yeah. I actually this morning saw that the New York Times is finally starting to cover this a little bit, and it was a pretty major story where they said a lot of the things that you and I've been talking about for weeks now, that the Russians are making more progress in the Donbas area than is commonly believed. And one of the reasons why it's kind of a deception in the results, because so many of the Western, as you point out correctly, most of the Western media is pulling for Ukraine. They want them to win. And obviously, you and I are in the same boat on that. But it's also a deceptive story when all the stories you hear are only what the Ukraine's attack and only the Russian losses. And there's no other part of the story there. What the other side of that story, or the comprehensive picture, is that, yes, Ukraine has unquestionably been inflicting a lot of losses on the Russian soldiers and continue to do so today. But they have lost the city of Izium. They have lost now the city of Popozna. The Severodonetsk, another important area in the northern shoulder of that Donbas pocket, is now being heavily invested by the Russian troops. And just a few weeks ago, Russia didn't have any of those. And
those city names aren't familiar to most Americans, but I know that many of them have 100,000 plus residents. So these are major areas. And you wrote in the outlet, 1945, it's called, you said, quote, Russia's current operations are slowly strangling Ukrainian troops in the Donbas, and that despite optimistic rhetoric out of Kyiv and Western capitals, the battle is trending towards a Russian tactical success, possibly within 2 months. 2 months, Colonel?
Yeah, and that's on the outside, because the reason why is because there is so much bombardment, so much pressure from these artillery, rocket, and air power strikes that the Russians are inflicting on this area in very concentrated ways that's just not being matched on the other side coming back. Even though the U.S. has provided these 155 millimeter towed howitzers, 84 of them, I believe, that's not an insignificant number. But just to make it clear, there's already some of those in the Severodonetsk area on the Ukraine side, and it hasn't changed anything so far in the Russian forward momentum.
With everything in mind that we just said, and I know that you and other experts always add, the best thing to do is to end this as quickly as possible, save lives. But militarily, Ukraine is determined to move forward. What's the best strategy for Ukraine militarily?
Well, I mean, a political decision has to be made. Are you going to just, despite all of the downside, keep fighting and keep trying to win? As Zelensky said on his famous May 9th speech on Victory Day, he says, no, we're going to continue to fight and win. If you make that decision, then the best you can hope for is to try to get a stalemate. Because if you can at least try to prevent Russia from making any of these penetrations I'm talking about, then maybe over time you can inflict so much damage on the Russians to try to take every square meter of land that they run out of, steam. But I just don't think that's a good plan, because Russia has a lot more steam to bring on board. They still have 700,000 troops that have not, active duty troops that have not been brought into this war. 2 million reservists which have not been mobilized. If things go bad in the Donbas, Russia has enormous manpower and other artillery and tanks that they could mobilize and bring in. Ukraine doesn't have that. They're already fully mobilized. So you see that almost no matter how you want to look at this, time is not on Ukraine's side.
Retired Lieutenant Colonel Daniel Davis, as always, some clear-eyed analysis here. We'll talk again soon. Thank you.
Thanks a lot. Appreciate it.